I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is being famous is like being a woman. So I'm going to go out on a limb on this one because I'm only a little bit famous and I'm clearly not a woman. However, becoming well-known through the YouTube channel has afforded me some interesting experiences. Experiences that, as far as I can tell, just wouldn't have been possible as the functionally anonymous man I was just a year ago. And I'd like to share some of those experiences with you today. Nowadays, I get recognized when I go out in public, and people from all over the world, both men and women, reach out to me unprovoked for all kinds of different reasons. Needless to say, neither of these things tended to happen before the channel blew up. And I'd like to start by talking about one of the first such messages I received about a year ago, back when the channel had just a few million views. I actually can't remember if this was a comment or a DM or an email, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't remember the name of the sender or the business, but I do remember the thrust of the message, which is the important part for our intents and purposes. Apparently, the guy who contacted me was a barber who worked at a barber shop in San Francisco. He told me that he and all the other guys in the shop loved my stuff. And when they learned that I lived in the area, they collectively invited me to come in for a haircut on the house. Now, I never took the guy up on his offer, but I wish I could give him a proper shout out nonetheless, because his offer was very sweet and genuine. He clearly didn't have to express his appreciation like that, and I was touched that he did so. Now, it took me some time to realize this, like it didn't hit me right away, but this was the first time a stranger, like someone I had never met in my life, had ever offered to give me something. At least as far as I can remember. I'm sure some adults gave me little treats when I was a kid, but here I was, 40 years old, and I was being offered a gift by a stranger for the first time in my adult life. Maybe you know where this is going. As I often do, I started to look at this experience through the lens of behavioral economics and the sexual marketplace. So the value of a haircut is about $40. And all I apparently had to do to earn that gift was to provide value to a few million people. Now, $40 is like 2 drinks at the bar. Over the course of my adulthood, to how many women have I made an equivalent offer? Like the barber, I was often a total stranger to these women, and I was just showing up unannounced with an offer to give them something. And not because they did anything particularly impressive or useful or exciting or virtuous, but just because I thought they looked cute. And I did this not because I was grateful like the barber was. After all, what did I have to be grateful for? These women hadn't done anything. But because I thought that offering that gift would increase the chances of initiating a sexual relationship with her. And of course, if I was offering these gifts to her, how many other men were doing the same? Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, then please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. I'm also proud to announce that I'll soon be publishing my book, The Value of Others. So if you'd like to learn more about that, you can go to my website and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Finally, please fill out an inquiry form on my website if you're interested in booking a paid consultation. The link is in the description. Okay, let's get back to it. This is why being famous is like being a woman. On the whole, when you're famous, people treat you really, really well. Like at this point, I can kind of count on a guy coming up to me to pay his respects like several times a week. He'll come up and say, "Hey, are you that guy? Whoa, let me shake your hand. I really love what you do. You've helped me out so much. Thank you for all the great content. Keep it up. Keep it up, man." And let me tell you, that's really cool. Like it's one of the best things about the success of this channel. One of the best things about the success of this channel is that it's allowed me to meet so many interesting people that I probably would never have met otherwise. And because I'm just here in my house talking to a camera, it's really great to be able to meet the people on the other end of the line, especially since they're generally so grateful and positive and encouraging. Like it always makes my day. I feel happy when it happens. And it definitely helps me to feel more confident about moving forward with the channel. And now I can also kind of imagine what it might be like to be a woman who can kind of count on a guy coming up to her to pay his respects several times a week. Like, excuse me, wow, you're beautiful. I'd love to be able to buy you something sometime, like a drink, a meal. What do you say? Would you go out with me? Like, even if I was happily married, how wouldn't that feel good? How wouldn't that feel validating and flattering? I'm sure it would make my day a little brighter and put a spring in my step. But of course, the difference would be that as a woman, I wouldn't think that I did anything to deserve that kind of attention or treatment. No, I would just think that I was someone who deserved that kind of attention or treatment. And why wouldn't I? Even I would know that I didn't do anything to earn that attention, which would mean that if I was receiving that attention, it must be because of who I was, not because of anything that I might have done. And this in turn might cause me in time to believe that I was entitled to that treatment in kind of the same way that I, as a man, believe that I'm entitled to like basic human dignity. This is why I think so many women think that they're the prize, like inherently. Most women are kind of low-grade famous in the sense that they receive treatment comparable to someone with a few 100,000 followers on social media, like just for breathing. And I can only imagine what it would be like if people were coming out of the woodworks to pay me compliments and offer me gifts from a very young age. Like, what a distorted view of my own self-worth would I likely have? Of course, those gifts often come with strings attached. As I admitted, they're designed to functionally lure a woman into a sexual relationship. However, that would have to be mystified. Those strings would have to stay very well hidden, because if I believed that I was entitled to those gifts just by like being a good person, I would absolutely be insulted by any insinuation of an ulterior motive or any expectation of reciprocity. On the other hand, as a man, I've kind of had to earn any good treatment that I've received, generally by providing value to others, and in this case, by providing value to a lot of other people. So it's not something that I take for granted. However, I doubt that I would ever have thought that there was anything odd about this arrangement until I attained to the very special form of success called fame. My dudes, fame is not like wealth or abs or status. And that's because those things aren't always visible and obvious. Fame is like being hot, regardless of how physically attractive you actually are, because like hotness, fame is highly visible and immediately apparent. And let me tell you, women respond to fame the same way men respond to hotness. And this is why I have advised you guys many times to find ways to become visibly competent. The kind of attention you receive as a man by being visibly competent is a force multiplier in the sexual marketplace. Like, you might even be disgusted by how easy things become, because potentially nothing else about you has changed except for the fact that more people now know that you exist. In any case, my point is this. I don't think I would have ever fully appreciated how tough and unfair life can be for men until my life started to become a little easier. Like, I didn't even think that was possible. I just kind of thought that the way things were the way they had to be. They're not. And if we men can do one thing to effectively change a situation that we were complicit in creating, it's this. Stop giving women unearned attention. I know it's hard to do. I did it myself for years, but it's absolutely a big part of why women today walk around with certain delusions about their own self-worth. They were trained to think that way by the men around them, men like you and me. Something to consider. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your support and thank you for listening. And now, a word about Stellar. If you're interested in pursuing a master's degree or a doctorate, chances are good that you'll have to take the GRE. Now, before I became a psychologist, I was actually one of the world's top GRE test prep instructors. Over 20 years, I developed a unique and practical system for dismantling every aspect of this test, and I helped thousands of students achieve top percentile scores on the exam. Today, students can learn the same system I used to achieve my own perfect score with Stellar GRE, my online GRE self-study program. I personally wrote and designed every aspect of this course. Among other things, it includes a 500-page test prep manual, thousands of practice problems, and several full-length mock exams. Just like my episodes, Stellar is designed to give students the strategies and techniques they need to succeed as clearly and succinctly as possible. And the best part is, Stellar works. My students' average score improvements are higher than my competitors' score guarantees. So, create an account and start your free trial today at stellargre.com. Use the code PSYCH for 10% off any membership plan. The link is in the description.